Bismillah. Assalamu alaikum. We're live now. So over to you, Subboor.
Bismillah, Alhamdulillah, salatu wassalamu Rasulullah. Jazakallah khair, Jordan, and to the EFDawah team for supporting, and giving platform to the Uyghur cause. Alhamdulillah, mashallah, there's been a lot of, videos, mashallah, that Jordan, you've made as well about the Uyghur issue recently. So I thought, okay, let's have a live stream on what people can do when it comes to this particular issue. And with me today is Arslan Hidayat, who is, the most well-known Uyghur activist pretty much on social media. And also, mashallah, he's been on Al Jazeera and BBC and other platforms as well. And, he is from East Turkestan, Chinese-occupied East Turkestan. And, his organization, Turkish Turkestan and Uyghur Revival Association, they work day and night to ensure that the genocide is highlighted and in every way lobbying is done so that it's actually stopped. So, Arslan, in terms of the Uyghur issue, what is, for someone that may be hearing of this from the perspective that they keep hearing this in the news and hearing it here and there, but they don't know it in depth, what is it about right now that we're dealing with, and why is it so important for people to be involved in activism?
To put it in a couple of words to start off with, it's an actual genocide, the likes of what happened to the Jews 75 years ago. So a Holocaust is happening, but something more than a Holocaust is happening is because 75 years ago the Jews were slaughtered and killed. And it's happening to the Uyghurs as well, but not to the scale of the Jews. But what the Uyghurs are going through is a lot worse. So you would have heard of these concentration camps. If you literally just type in Chinese concentration camps, Uyghur, you will see this, where people are rounded up simply for being an Uyghur, simply for being a Muslim, and put into these camps. And they are given 400 or 500 calorie diets. They are periodically tortured, systematically raped, both men and women. They are in cells, anywhere between 40 to 60 a cell, and the cells are so small that the people in the cell are not able to sleep at one time because there is no room. Half have to sleep, half have to be on duty. The hygiene levels are very low. They share a bucket for a toilet. They are allowed to shower or use water once a month. They are made to go through indoctrination classes where they are taught to worship Xi Jinping, worship the communist government, and reject Allah or reject God, reject any religion. And literally they are told and they are made to write letters to Xi Jinping, and these are repentance letters. So repentance meaning Tawbah. So they are made to make Tawbah to Xi Jinping because before they had made Tawbah to Allah. They are given filth to eat. There is no access to the outside world whatsoever. And on average, there seems to be anywhere between 1 to 3 or 4 people dying per cell. From a testimony by a former concentration camp detainee by the name of Mikri Kultursun. She had stayed there for 3 months, and she only got out because her husband had Egyptian citizenship, and so that way she was able to get out. But in that 3-month period, she witnessed herself, just from her cell, 9 people die. And there is an estimation that there are anywhere between minimum 500 camps to slightly over 1,000 camps, if not more. And each of these camps are football stadiums in size. So you can only imagine how many cells are in the case. So if you were to calculate the number of cells, the number of camps, the number of people dying are actually very scary. And even if these people are to die, their bodies are actually not given back to their families. We've seen that from satellite imagery, and satellite imagery does not lie, that there are crematories built right next to these camps. So any evidence of torture, rape, killing is all burnt away. during the interrogation periods, around 24 to 48 hours before each interrogation, the detainees are sleep deprived and food deprived. And and just through that mental, psychological, and physical torture, the detainees end up dying. But even beyond that, we have situations where you and I, Brother Subboor, we had interviewed someone by the name of Zumrat Dawood, and she told us that a concentration camp detainee was urinated on. And the reason why she was urinated on by guards is because the guards were saying, hey, don't you Muslims wash yourself before you pray? Wash yourself with this urine. So this denigration, of human beings. And as I mentioned, it's worse than death, because even the human organs, the organs of the Muslims, of the Uyghurs, are being sold to the highest bidders in the Middle East, because there is this concept that the rich of the Middle East are going into China to buy what they call halal organs, because they know that the Uyghurs are Muslim, they don't drink, they don't eat pork, and they prefer these organs from Uyghurs as opposed to, say, Chinese organs, because and these organs are very regularly available. It's like buying a product. When you see those commercials are like 30-day money-back guarantee almost, because even before each detainee goes into the camps, their blood, their urine, their eyes, their organs, they go through a full health check. And then their DNA and everything is put into a database, and you literally can just shop for what you want. And then you've got also some of these detainees, once the Chinese government deems them to be educated, some of the very, very lucky ones are put into slave labor. So they get to spend some time outside, they get to work in factories, they are given a fraction of what they used to earn. So you would have seen this propaganda video saying, oh, look, we have educated these Uyghurs, and look, we've given them work now, we've given them a salary. But if you were to talk to these people, they would have been earning, for example, anywhere between $1,000 or $1,500 a month before, but now they're on probably $50 to $100 a month. So in a nutshell. And then on the outside, for the longest time, we have heard, you would have seen the destruction of mosques, the destruction of the culture in general, the forced removal of hijab, not just hijab, like even wearing long clothes up to your wrist or down to your, beyond your knees, having a beard like this, simple terminology, like as we just started the show, Subboor, you just said Bismillah a moment ago. Brother Jordan, you said Assalamu alaikum to everyone. So even terminology like this can land you in a concentration camp. So in a nutshell, this is what's been happening to the Uyghurs in the past 5 to 6 years. And obviously, if we go back further down in history, there is other oppressions, but yeah.
Can I ask a quick question on that one, Arslan, actually? And the stuff you said there, even more harrowing than because I feel kind of late to the party, because I read the reports that came out recently by, the Turkish refugees. And I just couldn't believe, I was really, almost brought to tears by some of the stuff I'm hearing. And some of the stuff you're saying, the urinating stuff, that sounds even worse. I think a question I had within my research was, why are the Uyghurs being targeted specifically? I'm assuming there are other religions in China. I'm assuming there are other... What is it about the Uyghur Muslims that so either threatens China or what is that? What is the reason for that?
To clarify, the Uyghurs are not the only ones that are targeted. The Christians are targeted, Buddhists are targeted, Falun Gong practitioners are targeted. But the Uyghurs, China has this narrative, right, that there are 56 ethnic groups within China, and they all live harmoniously, and they promote each ethnic group, and that's not the case. China simply does not like difference. They want everyone to be communist and Han communist. So, someone having a beard, wearing hijab, saying salam alaikum, praying 5 times a day, eating, opting for halal food, simply saying things like, I cannot eat pork because I am Muslim. That's a problem. That's difference. So, for example, you guys are British Muslims, right? Just imagine, and I'm an Australian, just imagine the British government forced you to act stereotypically British. So what does stereotypically British mean? Maybe go to the pub on Friday, Saturday night, go to the beach, mixing on the beach, doing haram things, right? And having your beard, So imagine the British government forced you and forced me to be stereotypically British. So in our governments, in our countries, our governments don't tell us to do this. As long as we're not attacking people willy-nilly, we're quite okay, or spreading extremist thought. So having a beard, praying, looking Uyghur, talking the Uyghur language, writing in the Uyghur language is considered different, is considered extreme, is considered separatists. And the Uyghurs have had their own countries before, and so the more and more we become Chinese, the less different, so that the Chinese can say, look, the Uyghurs are Chinese in nature, or they've always been Chinese, and things like this. So this is why we're being targeted.
Alhamdulillah. So you'd almost say, wouldn't you, then, that this isn't it's not a Muslim issue specifically. Non-Muslims watching should also be getting involved in this, because it's everybody over there, isn't it, that's not Chinese?
Yeah, even Chinese people that stand up for democracy and they want democratic rights, even they are persecuted.
Yeah.
And even if you look up the recent with COVID-19, anyone that was speaking up against COVID-19, so all those doctors, all those citizen journalists, all of them saying that the CCP was covering up COVID-19, they're also dead 6 feet under, or they're in lockup. So again, anything and anyone that goes against the CCP narrative is, erased.
Yeah. Alhamdulillah. You mentioned, because we talk about going back to the Holocaust, and it's possibly the worst thing that happened since then. One thing that got me interested in these kind of things was Srebrenica and the Bosnian massacre. That was even more recent. 25 years ago.
Yeah.
And I think that's another thing why I think the same thing's happening abroad now. And for me personally, I didn't want to be, that we all know on the Day of Judgment, this is an opportunity. We know the Islamic reminders. For me, I remember having this image of a young Uyghur person asking me in 10 years' time, this was happening to me. My mother was being taken away. My siblings were being taken away. This was happening to me. What did you do at the time? And I think that's where, it's just, knowing these things are happening when you're alive in your time is very tough, isn't it? So that's why for me, it was a real spur to kind of act, however much we can all do. That's why I'm glad we're doing this stream today.
Yeah, again, we were talking with Brother Subboor yesterday, we Muslims, we talk, I wish I lived in the time of the Prophet ﷺ. I wish I was a Sahaba. Well, brothers and sisters, this is your opportunity, inshallah ta'ala, with this, probably, even, just talking about this issue, writing about this issue, educating others on this issue, educating yourself, this could be a vessel for many to get into Jannah and to meet the Sahaba, to meet the Prophet ﷺ, and meet Allah eventually.
Yeah. And then I guess for me personally, I've just started talking about it on my platforms, and I've just been deplatformed on TikTok for that reason. So an indication of that it's not an easy task. They're clearly firstly, people are trying to muddy the waters in the media that's been put out, and secondly, I think you speak about this in certain platforms and stuff, you're going to get taken off. But I think for me, that shouldn't stop us creating awareness about this. So
and your platform, Alhamdulillah, is doing really well. It was around 60,000, and also the videos from there, I remember them being shared by Abdurrahim Green, Muhammad Hijab. I mean, those videos, it wasn't just the platform, it was how they were going offline, the whole Jeff Dave thing, right? And I was really saddened to hear that it was you were taken off it, because it's a sizable audience, but at the same time it's a reminder to the audience that actually if you want to speak about the Uyghur issue, then be prepared to take some damage, right? Be prepared to lose your job, be prepared to something will happen. And I'm not referring here to the average person, because the average person will not lose anything. I'm saying if you're somebody within the Islamic community of some form of you have some form of platform, then you will face some repercussions. But the average person, like Arslan's been saying, this is the most safest thing you can support when you compare it to, and maybe Arslan, you can speak about that, why this is a lot more safer than
what's amazing is, ever since we started the spreading this message, you get some crazy characters that you would normally not mingle with, and talk on social media with, sharing your stuff and supporting the Uyghur cause. So you would have, especially in the United States and everywhere else, the left and the right, the far left, far right, anti-Islamic groups even, right, supporting the Uyghurs. And this is the only issue I can see in the world right now, where you've got Buddhists, atheists, Muslims, non-Muslims, every single group. There is not a group, Jews, various Jewish groups, rabbis, imams, every single religious group, talking about this, supporting this. Every government in the West, in Europe, in Asia, so Japan, Korea, Indonesia, Malaysia, everyone. So, and this is a very safe topic as well. Sometimes we Muslims, we worry about posting about certain things, but this is the only one where your posts will actually be supported. And so a lot of the characters that, especially on a dawah platform that you would never normally talk to, I've talked to those individuals, clearly anti-Islamic, but they're like, they're just disgusted at what the CCP is doing to the Uyghurs. So it's a very strange place to be. And I've had people on my show that used to be former advisor to President Trump. I've had National Tea Party members. It's just crazy, the people that are supporting this, because at the end of the day, they realize that this is beyond difference, and there are people being genocided, and even they recognize this. And as you mentioned, Jordan, you being deplatformed, one thing that we've always invited China to do is that to give people access to the area and to have people talk and for people to be interviewed, and that has not happened at all. And China could clearly clear all of this up, and they could prove that there is no genocide if they just open the border.
Yeah, good point. So the couple of videos that I put out, one of the resounding questions I got from the comment section, so maybe people watching, and to be honest, it's probably a question I had probably a few months ago, is, and I know Subboor's going to go into it, but there's almost this feeling amongst some of us being powerless that China has us by the kahunas. They're in control of everything. There's nothing we can do anyway. Obviously dua is our most powerful weapon, but often people are just saying that's all we can do. Obviously we're going to go into it a bit more in detail, but what is it that we can do sort of on the ground? Because I think even people now in the comments are asking, how can we help?
Yeah, so there are various things that you can do. I mean, depending on each individual, everyone has different skills and talents and, networks that they can work with. So first, I would say educate yourself. Talk East Turkestan is a good resource. Another resource, if everyone can write this down, Radio Free Asia, Uyghur Service, the Uyghur Human Rights Project. And over there, you can get academic reports and testimonies and anything that is talked about with references to everything. So it's not just hearsay and it's just such sentences. There are links to videos and leaked documents from CCP, from the Chinese government themselves. So educate yourself, educate others. And Subboor will go into this a little later, and we'll be talking about this tonight. Especially if you're a student, talk to your university, see if there are any links to Chinese companies. Do you have a Confucius Center? And a Confucius Center is basically how China introduces themselves or promotes themselves to the West and Western students. And they talk about, they teach Chinese, which is fine. They teach their culture, which is fine. But then they talk about, why they oppress. They don't say why they oppress, but why they've opened up these education centers, these camps, and why they must do this, and this is how they've stopped terrorism in the area, and blah blah blah. And see if there are companies. There are around more than 1,000 companies aiding in the capture of Uyghurs through technology, AI technology, surveillance cameras, mobile smartphone technology. See if your university is helping out or aiding or has a contract with those companies. Write letters to your local representatives, your MPs, your senators, and even today, many people are still unaware of what's going on. And there's so much that you can do. And obviously, everyone's on social media. I mean, ever since I began using social media, say 10 years ago, I've never used it for social purposes ever. I've only used it for, sharing news, writing, something like beneficial, about the Uyghur issue. Never for people just, I ate here and the sort of, I've never posted anything like that. Like use social media to your advantage, because social media is a weapon that is banned in China. So Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, all of these things are banned. Why would China ban these apps if they didn't see it as a threat? So please, don't take for granted these weapons that we have. We could use against the Chinese government. And social media is so important because China themselves spends billions of dollars funding what we call the 50-cent social media army. And it's these people that troll these channels. So I'm sure, Jordan, ever since you've been talking, and you, Brother Subboor, as well, that ever since you've been talking about the Uyghur issue, you've been getting just random trolls. And some of these trolls are just, out of their heart, their love for China, they do it. But most of them, a good 90%, are paid people. And you'll see lots of messages copy and pasted, because each of those comments, they get paid for by the CCP. And it works. Especially on Reddit, it influences a lot of people, and therefore that's why you get people saying, "Oh, is what's happening true over there?" It works. Otherwise, they wouldn't be spending so much money.
Alhamdulillah. Yeah, I think they've definitely. I think it's definitely worked. The tactics they've done to cause doubt, because you can see many Muslims are. Is it going on? We're not quite sure. And I think, for me, I really wish I would have realized earlier. I mean, I sense I knew it was going on, but it was, like I say, it was these reports that came through to me that were just, then it was no doubt. It was the harrowing reports that I read. And they were recent ones, weren't they, that just came out?
Yeah. So, on those reports, Jordan, do you remember that there was a sister named Tursane?
Yes.
Right. I mean, it's her report, that BBC report, which actually caused a large sort of, Alhamdulillah, a large sort of it added energy to the momentum for the trade amendment bill and all the other things that are happening in terms of Uyghur activism. Yeah. And I wanted to actually share that that sister Tursane, she actually arrived in Turkey last year. What time was it roughly, Arslan?
Was it early September, right? The first 10 days of September.
First 10 days of September, right?
Yeah.
So Arslan traveled from Bahrain to go to Turkey, and I wanted to do some interviews with some Uyghur sisters and others. So he set it up, and so we went to actually go meet some of them. And she is somebody who Arslan, before I got there, he said, okay, there's somebody that just freshly arrived, right? And she just came fresh from essentially, I think, Kazakhstan or one of these countries that she was transiting through. And, when we both met her, I think it was an instant recognition that there was no way she could do the interview, right? And then Arslan contacted the Uyghur Human Rights Project based in DC, and they got her out of the country. They, they dealt with her medical stuff. And, I remember when she was sitting there, she was saying things like, I mean, obviously she's speaking Uyghur, and I couldn't fully understand. Arslan was translating, but, I mean, to the effect of, she was saying, I don't care if the Chinese turn up now, I'm ready to die. Like, she'd had enough. And that's the very sister who actually, when she got to Washington, then the BBC did the report on her, right? and this report went viral, and even the Chinese government responded, and other people responded, and that's why organizations like Talkies Turkestan, which Arslan is heading, are so important, because his intervention to and may Allah bless him for that, to basically get involved and to speak to the Uyghur Human Rights Project. It led to a series of events which has really helped, because one of the things I remember Sister Louisa Grieve, who is from the Uyghur Human Rights Project, she said on the call is, we need to keep her alive, we need to get her story out. And she was literally, I mean, when I was sitting there, I think Arslan said this as well, we just thought she wasn't going to make it, because she was such in a bad position. And it just goes to show you, every little helps. Like that one phone call, which lasted maybe, I don't know, 20 minutes or something, it led to so much khair. I mean, in a way it's saving a life, in a way it's getting a story out. And now even the Chinese government directly responded to the allegation of the BBC. They say it's fake, of her story. And it just goes to show you how all of these things have huge impacts. Because why would the Chinese government respond? It responds because, like Arslan's been saying for a long time, they really care about what the West thinks. They pretend like they don't care. They pretend to be like wolf warrior diplomacy, they call it, but they actually deep down are narcissists. They can't handle criticism. And because they want to be the superpower, because they want to be seen as having a moral, this sort of moral status, it really hurts them when these things come out. Even this live stream, I mean, Alhamdulillah, EFDawah, through their networks, I mean, we're talking about hundreds of thousands of subscribers on Arabic and English and all the rest. And platforms like this, as soon as you start speaking, you're on the radar as well. You guys are going to get under the radar, because they really can't handle criticism, right? And that's a huge problem for them.
Yeah. Alhamdulillah.
I have, by the way, a list of things that people can get involved in. So shall I go through them now?
Yeah, shall I share your screen? I see you've got
here. Before that, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to first, inshallah, go over the various steps that that you could do, and then I'm going to home into one step, which is very important for anybody watching from Britain, right? Because this is in relation to this week, a genocide amendment that's being added to the trade bill. And we need MPs to support it. Now, there's around 20 MPs who we need to convince to support this amendment. And if they do, what's going to happen is the British courts will be able to determine, inshallah, that this is a genocide. Once that happens, trade with China would be severely impacted, and that would be a huge blow to basically China's economy. And China, and again, when I'm saying China, I'm referring to the Chinese government, not we're not xenophobic in any way. The real language they do speak is money. I mean, they've capitalized. I mean, they're true capitalists, even though they're communists, right? I mean, they've capitalized on the coronavirus. They've capitalized on organ harvesting. They've even capitalized, and you get this through the story of Sister Dursane. They've capitalized on rape, because what they did with the pretty-looking Uyghur women is that they had them in a certain part of the concentration camp, and Han Chinese men would actually arrive in the camp, pay a fee, and rape them. So they even capitalized the rape. It wasn't that the rape was being done by the guards alone. The guards got to rape for free, right? But the actual Han Chinese men, they actually paid, and the higher price was for the prettier women. This is like capitalism on steroids. I mean, they will literally capitalize on the coronavirus, on rape, on organ harvesting. So the only language that these people speak is money. So if we can, inshallah, get the MPs to support this genocide amendment, and then trade between Britain and China is impacted, that will definitely send a bigger signal to them, than anything that the British government has ever done, right? I mean, the British government, like they've done, they can speak about Hong Kong, Tibet, Mongolia, the Uyghurs, but there's nothing like, something that's going to impact your pocket. And there's something else I want everybody to remember. China's government, its mandate, its social contract is essentially, we will provide for you economic growth, we will provide for you poverty alleviation, we will provide for you these things, and you guys just keep quiet, don't talk, don't revolt, don't do something like Tiananmen Square again, right? Don't rise up against us, we're taking care of you. The Chinese people, by and large, are the biggest victims of the Chinese government, and nothing will send off the signals for a revolt more than basically them being economically impacted in terms of their businesses. Remember something else which is very important. There is no such thing as a Chinese company, right? This is extremely important for everyone to understand. Every single Chinese company that we see is owned by the Chinese Communist Party. What they do is, if in China you're going to start a business, what you do is that you start it off, but the government is a partner with you in that business. So when a Chinese company is trading in the UK, Europe, America, Australia, they're actually not just a private Chinese enterprise. The government has a large share in that company. I think it's around 50%. But overall, the actual decisions can be made by the private business person. But every single decision can be vetoed by the Communist Party, which owns part of that business, and even to the point that the strategy and all those things. So it's not the case that we're just your local Chinese restaurant is a Communist Party front. We're not saying that. We're saying large organizations, large companies which come in from China, they actually are fueling economically the Chinese Communist Party. So if we can sever that link, then that will send a big message through. So I'm going to go through a few things which are very important in terms of everybody watching online in terms of the Uyghur issue. So firstly, the social media activism, right? This is extremely important. The more we talk about this topic, the more it hurts the image of China, the more China is likely to actually restrain its behavior. We had Dr. Burhan, a academic from East Turkestan who's living in Turkey, and the Chinese government actually released his parents initially because they were worried about the public backlash. Sister Zumrat Dawood, who we interviewed, me and Arslan, she was released from the camp because her husband, who's a Pakistani national, he actually threatened to go to the media. That's why she was released. So the Chinese government is actually scared of this type of activism. So this type of general activism, and definitely I would say, if you're following a social influencer, right, and that social influencer isn't doing what Jordan's doing, isn't using their platform and taking sacrifices for the Uyghurs, then call out that influencer, right? I mean, in a polite Islamic way. I'm not saying refutations. I'm saying just obviously we have to be a little bit intelligent about this. So people that are based in the Middle East, Pakistan, Bangladesh, North Africa, I wouldn't advise it. Social influencers from those countries, because you're putting yourself in danger with your own government, right? But social influencers who are based in the Western world, in Australia, in Europe, in America, you have no excuse. You literally have no excuse. And we're not saying day and night post about the Uyghurs, but speak up. And if you don't speak up, then the followers, they should, and we have to assume the best. Sometimes people don't know. So just remind them, can you please speak up about the Uyghur issue? Can you please post about this? That's very, very important.
Yeah, I love seeing these profile pictures of Uyghurs everywhere. So even when you make a comment, it's just awareness everywhere, isn't it? I love seeing that.
Yeah, definitely. Another thing is get yourself some Uyghur merchandise. There's lots of stuff online. I'm not gonna promote any company in particular, right? My suggestion would be go onto Amazon, go onto eBay, go onto these different websites. You get these types of Uyghur products. I have the face mask with the Save Uyghur, and people notice, people look at it. I've seen people directly looking at it and reacting to it. You can even get things like this on your mobile phone, right? Which is, this is our organization, Uyghur Freedom Organization, that me and Arslan are part of. But it doesn't matter. Anything to do with the Uyghur flag and this type of thing, T-shirts, hats, whatever it is, that stuff has a big impact. And in terms of universities, I'm not sure if I can comment. Maybe you can pin this comment. Can you, Jordan, can you type UFO.ngo? www.ufo.ngo.
Yeah.
So this organization, you should be able to see in the comments now. Can you just pin that comment? Jazakallah khair. So this organization, this deals just with the universities, right? Just with the universities. So the idea behind this is to do the lobbying at the universities. So you can actually click on that website and show your interest, and you'll get regular emails on how you can actually get involved at the university level. So cutting off the links between the Chinese government and British universities. This is very important. This is extremely important. Recently, with Imperial College London, and myself and Arslan, we gave a talk. After the talk, Imperial students contacted us. They said that basically their university is working with Huawei. Huawei has been complicit in the Uyghur genocide. They actually designed facial recognition technology to actually single out the Uyghurs, right? To actually single out the Uyghurs, and all these sorts of things. So what it is that these companies need to be called out, and the oppression needs to be called out, right? These things, we really need to be loud and clear about this. So universities and their links with the Chinese Communist Party, lobbying MPs, which I'm going to get into now, boycott their products. So you can go online, you can look at which companies are linked to Chinese, to the slave labor of the Uyghurs, and you can actually boycott those companies. And lastly, of course, educate yourself in terms of all of these Uyghur issues. So now if you can share my screen, please, Jordan. Okay. So this particular thing, this is the a call to action when it comes to the Genocide Amendment Bill. The Genocide Amendment Bill, right? So the Genocide Amendment is basically a way that we can stop the trade between China and Britain, right? Because this amendment will allow the British judges to decide if there's a genocide going on, and obviously they will, inshallah, because the evidence is abundant, and then that will make it a lot more difficult for them to actually trade. So I'm just going to go over what needs to be done. So there's 20 MPs which we need to email them and to ask them, or you can contact them on Monday and Monday to Friday, and ask them, will you support the Genocide Amendment in the trade bill, right? Or you could just keep it simple. Will you support the Genocide Amendment? Now, so the first one obviously is Mark Eastwood from Dewsbury, and there's a sizable Muslim population of around 20% in his constituency. So that's one person we can contact. The next is Robbie Moore. Again, 13% in his constituency. You've got his email address there. By the way, during this live stream, if anybody just wants to send this off and I'm going through this quickly, you could just go back, pause, and then you can read out the email. Teresa Villas, again, about 7.3% in her constituency who are Muslim. Of course, whether you're Muslim or you're not Muslim, you should be supporting this amendment. but you know, because obviously the majority of the people on this channel are Muslim, so you know, this is something that's important to highlight. And Henry Smith, 7.2%. In Crawley, Nicola Richards, West Bromwich, 6.4%. Mark Pritchard, 2.7%. Tom Randall, 1.5%. Alexander Stafford, 1.2%. Damien Collins, again, it's a smaller number size of Muslims, but still, you know, it's worth sending those emails. So everybody in the UK, please send these emails to these parliamentarians. Laura Faris, again from you know, a place where there's the Muslims are less than 1%, but still, you know, we need to try and get the word out there. Roger Gale from North Thanet, Hugh Merriam from Brexhill and Battle, Jamie Wallace from Bridgend, John Penrose from Weston-super-Mare, Lawrence Robertson from Techesbury. I've never actually heard of that place. Damien Hinds from East Hampshire, Miriam Gates from Penistone and Stocksbridge, and Robin Miller. There's actually a lot of names here. David Morris. I'm just going to speed this up slightly so you guys, whoever wants to, I would suggest everybody sends each one of these an email saying, would you support the trade, would you support the Genocide Amendment in the trade bill? Simon Ho, no, not Hoar, Heather Wheeler, Giles Watling, David Warburton, and yeah, that's basically it. That's all of the people that you know, can be contacted in regards to the Genocide Amendment bill. And you know, I believe, you know, we shouldn't discount how each email counts, how each email has a huge impact. So you've put up this link, Jordan, of Mend. Did you just put that up?
No.
Somebody put that up. So if you can highlight that comment, please.
Which one?
It's by Zayan at 11:53.
Zion. What does it say? Oh, here we go.
EFDawah, here's the link, right? So let me. Can you guys see my screen right now?
Yeah.
So Mend is an organization that you can actually go here and you can actually contact your MPs through this. So I would suggest everybody does this if you're in the UK. And you know, if you're outside of the UK, then the other actions that we spoke about. But yeah, this is a great way of pushing that out as well, inshallah.
Sounds good. So with the email Subboor, I mean, they don't even need to be individual, do they? I guess you get a whole list of them, put them all in the BCC, and send, or they have to be.
Yeah. I mean, look. I mean, as long as obviously you just don't put their names, and then you can send off 20, or else it's going to be 20 people receiving the same email. What
I'll try and do later is I'll type all the email addresses and put it in the description so people can just copy and paste it.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
Yeah.
Is it worth writing to UN Human Rights Division? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's definitely worth writing to them. So those actions that I highlighted earlier, those everybody can get involved in. This particular action, we're obviously calling the UK people to get involved in. But yeah, this is extremely important. And I believe this will go a long way, inshallah.
Yeah. I think what you've done there, Subboor, crucial, because like I said, I think, you know, I'd have been one of those people. What can we do? You know, do you donate money to charity? That's what most people firstly think. But acting and getting our local MPs to put pressure in Parliament and stuff like that, definitely a powerful way, isn't it? And can you imagine there's, you know, 100,000 emails go out today to all these MPs? They have to do something.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Absolutely. So yeah, that's. I mean, those are actions that people can take, inshallah.
Inshallah. Let's just see.
So in terms of Jordan, you know, some of the stuff that we were talking about in terms of the embassy protests, right? Can you just maybe just speak about that briefly in terms of the UK?
So in terms of what we're planning on doing,
Yeah.
So I think obviously with the lockdown at the moment, and you know, I think protests are, you know, you see many of them recently with the Sarah Everard have ended very badly. So I think when you set up these things, it has to be done sensibly, even though obviously the Uyghurs are in need help now. But we are, I think me and Subboor are discussing going outside the Chinese embassy on a Friday. We will let you know details of that, and you know, we'll obviously film it and create awareness for it, and I guess a continuous physical protest outside the embassy, and hopefully we can build the numbers peacefully, and make some noise. I feel like a lot of this is making noise and getting it out there. So details will be to follow. I think, did we discuss sort of during Ramadan time?
After Ramadan, I think.
Yeah.
After Ramadan, I think it's actually good. So, I mean, Alhamdulillah, you know, we've covered a lot in this live stream in terms of what we need to do in terms of the Uyghur issue. Me and Arslan, we actually have another live stream in about 2 hours time, and then another one in a few hours after that. And in between that, I have another one. So, inshallah, we're going to try and wrap this one up. But definitely, everybody, please join you know, us at 2 o'clock. We're going to be talking to a Uyghur sister whose father was put in a concentration, well, not a concentration camp. There's a threat of him being sent back to China from Saudi Arabia. So she's going to be speaking up on behalf of her father. And we also have an event for university students as well later on. So, you know, if you join us at 2, we'll go through some, inshallah, details of that as well. So, Arslan, do you want to add anything before we end?
I just want to say Jazakallah khairan to the EFDawah channel, Brother Jordan, Jazakallah khair to you, Brother Subboor as well. Inshallah, this, I mean, you know, this is, you know, it may be simple, you know, but this is big. And hopefully we have influenced, you know, perhaps 5-10 people to do some action. And as you mentioned today, and we'll see tonight as well, the action of one brother, you know, setting up all those universities, and then you know, now we've got in contact with, and there's even more influence, and hopefully to create that change. Now, right now, the Uyghurs are in a very detrimental stage. It looks like hell, but if we look past, you know, to various Sahaba, to the various people in our own Islamic history, to the Uyghurs, you know, in the end, you know, it is an actions of a few or a group of people that brings about that positive change and ends up freeing them. And yeah, and just I'm so blessed, and inshallah, that, you know, Allah has, you know, made me a part of this, and then Brother Jordan and Brother Subboor and others that we have met along the way as well. And hopefully we continue this fight. And when I say fight, I mean, you know, in the most halal way possible, the most legal way possible, to free the Uyghur people of Chinese-occupied East Turkestan.
I mean, and I would say, you know, may Allah reward you too, because I've been on the streams for months now, and you guys, even when you had 20 people watching, you've been shouting about this for ages, and hopefully we can build some momentum. And you know, we're obviously talking about the physical protests, but online, our reach on the Dawah channels is millions, you know, and so hopefully in the future, this can be the start of us all collaborating, you know, people put pressure on people, and we can all get together and create as much awareness as possible, because yeah, the reach we have, we can definitely make a difference. Alhamdulillah.
Inshallah, definitely. Jazakallah khair, everyone.
All right. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
So it's a Subboor Saturday, so go and join the other streams on your channel, right?
Yeah, at 2 o'clock, inshallah.